Hi, welcome to Mental Arts with John Worthington. I'm Terri Stangl, back to talk with John again for another session. Hi, John.
Hi, T. What's up?
Earlier today, you and I were starting to have a little conversation about knowing how you know,
Yeah.
and I'm still processing a bit of that, and I wonder if we could go over it, and you could kind of start with what you're talking about. What is that? What do you mean by knowing? Why is that an important concept?
Well, it's how your brain or how our brains actually identify what we know, and it's not through memory. It's through experience. I mean, memory is important. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying memory doesn't mean anything. No. There's not a dichotomy. It's just that it's not all memory. It's memory plus experience. But you have to have the experience, or you don't know how you know. Actually, you have to have three parts to know something. You have to have a source that says, okay, this is a thing for you to consider. And then you have to have the experience, which is to say, oh, not only am I considering it, I'm doing it. And then you have to have somebody else come along and say, you know, that was a neat thing you just did right there. I like that. When you have all three of those things, then your brain knows how you know that thing. It isn't a matter that you've read it. It isn't a matter that somebody told you about it. It isn't a matter that you figured it out. It's a matter that you have to have all those things, or it doesn't work. Here, let me give you an example. Okay, let me give you an example so you can so you can see this one.
Okay.
Let's say that you're a young growing biocomputer, and you have an occasion to identify something as being frightening. And what you identify as being frightening as a girl is you identify seeing naked men they shouldn't be naked like that unless they have reason to be. And so anyway, you take a look at that thing and you say, oh my goodness gracious, that's scary. Now, it isn't actually. I mean, it might be as a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 12-year-old, but it isn't really a scary thing. I mean, there are women all over the world that look at those things and say, that's not scary at all. I like that.
It's certain, yeah.
Okay. However, because you identified that thing as a threat, then what happens is that your brain sees one of them and it says, there's a threat. Now, right there's a threat. And so you can get angry. You can say, why you got that thing out there? Put that thing away. Hang a towel on it. What are you doing like that? My goodness gracious. Don't you have no shame? You could be afraid. You say, oh my God. I just can't. I don't know what I'm going to do. God, why did you do this to me? Or you could freeze. Now, those are the three available options to you if you've identified something as a threat. It's how you know that that's it. You have the experience of seeing it. You say that's what it is, and your brain says, okay, you said it's a threat. It's a threat. And you had that experience, and everybody around you said it was threatening. They said, oh, you didn't. And you said, no, I did. And you shouldn't have. And you said, oh my God, this is awful. And so you have fear. But it's the threat. It isn't the fear, it isn't the anger, it isn't the freezing, it's the threat. Really, honest to God. Okay, that's what you know.
In the example you gave, I can have this experience of seeing as a threat that may or may not be true, but my brain, once I have that experience,
it's going to treat it like it be real. Because to your brain, it's real. Because you see, your brain can't get out into the world at all. Yeah. It's encased in bone, okay, and it doesn't get out much. I mean, it just doesn't. It believes what you tell it.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was a kid, I was afraid of spiders, and I had never even touched one. I just saw them, and I decided that they were scary, and so I did that exact thing. I treated them as really, really scary until I got to a point where I was dealing with someone more scared of them than me, and I actually had to move the spider, and I realized the world didn't fall apart. Then I had a new experience.
Over moving a spider didn't fall apart. Wow, that's wow.
or whacking it, either way. But still, the spider didn't get me.
Well, I suppose not. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So okay. See. All right. So, but why is this even a useful thing to be aware of in ourselves and to have in our kind of way of looking at stuff?
Well, I know some people that are well educated, actually, who live in fantasy lands because they don't adhere to the concepts of knowing how you know something. And so they're constantly second guessing themselves. They're constantly saying, well, I don't know whether I really thought about this carefully enough or not. Perhaps I've left something out, as I often do. And they're just, pain in the ass is what they are. Okay, now, it isn't a matter that they're bad people. They're good people. They're fun to be around. They got all the right parts, doing all the right things, all that kind of stuff. They fine folks. But they got this, they come from a good family, but they developed some strange ways about it. What can I tell you? Okay. And one of the strange things that developed about them was this whole idea of saying, well, fantasy can be treated as real because it's my opinion that it's real. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, excuse me, but isn't that what Donald Trump is doing now?
For some time now, yeah.
Well, you don't think that he's correct in doing that, do you?
No.
Well, you hypocrite, you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I throw the bread on the water here. Okay, so the thing that we're missing, those of us, myself included, that sometimes fail to check this out, is that we're not asking ourselves, do I actually have an experience here? Do I actually have, that's one of the mistakes.
Well, it's not only that, it's that you talk about things that aren't true. You don't hold that line. You don't say, okay, I will not speak of things of which I do not know. You're sloppy about that. You just go charging off into things and talk about stuff that you really don't know about. Mm-hmm. It's a really easy thing to do. It's not. Don't misunderstand it. Anybody who gets in the limelight for any reason, it tends to do that. Okay, they tend to talk about what they think they know, and it's like sometimes they don't know anything, but they talk as though they do. Most of the folks in Congress are like that, I think. But
well, okay. So there's a third. Yeah. There's a third part of knowing how you know that I think is often. Sometimes people do have. They sometimes, like I know for me, I've had an experience and I would say, oh, I know what that is, but I actually haven't ever had anybody say no. Like I had the experience of seeing a spider and I treated, oh, that guy's going to get me, but I never said, well, is that a venomous spider? Is that spider going to chase me? I mean, I never actually checked what I interpreted with anybody else. So there wasn't somebody besides me to.
Yeah, but would you believe it? Okay. Okay. My question is, would you believe it? My question is, would you believe it if they told you?
Oh. Well, sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Yeah. At that time, probably not. I probably would have, when I was too afraid and I was sure it was a threat, I probably wouldn't have believed it. So. Okay.
So here's the thing. Excitation causes interlock, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, okay. if you're excited about this, oh my God, it's a spider. Okay, that's called excitation, and it'll cause you to interlock with whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
Okay? And in this case, it was the threat of a spider, not the fear of the spider, the threat of the spider. But because you concentrated on the fear, because that's the feeling, rather than the actual threat, which was the reason for or the belief for the threat to be perceived to begin with.
Okay.
You couldn't solve the problem because the problem wasn't in the fear, the problem was in the threat.
Right. So if somebody would say, look, here's this facts about a spider, because I was focusing on the fear. I couldn't even
No.
hear what they're.
That's right. That's right. Because they're talking about you. They keep talking about the damn spider.
Yeah.
No one stopped you and said, "Okay, exactly how's that spider going to eat you, girl? How's it going to harm you? No, tell me what it is that spider going to do that you're so scared. You're not
Yeah.
big enough to squat that thing. What is going on? So see, I don't understand. Why did you mad? Or why did you scared? Or why did you're frozen there looking at these? Because the little spider got this big right here, and you got that big right there. And so how can that be that you upset that spider being around you? Because you're much bigger than that spider. There's no threat from that spider to you. You're gonna put your hand out there and say, "Here, little spider, come over here, bite me." No, you're not gonna do that. The spider, get off of me, spider. What's wrong with you?
Okay.
Get over here on me like that.
Okay. So, all right, but once our brain identifies something as a threat, I mean, we these flight, fight, fear, freeze things you said, those come up. How can to feel these emotions? Is it a simple matter of saying, okay, what information do I really have? What experience do I have with that thing that's that I have to slow down enough to look at that? About what's causing it?
Say it again, kid.
Okay, yeah. I'm just thinking sort of how to put this into practical action, all right? So usually it comes up, I notice, oh, I'm mad about this, or I'm scared about something. So when that happens, obviously my brain's treating something as a threat. So then I can say, okay, well, what is it that's the threat? And
Yes.
I can think about, well, what's my actual experience with that thing? I can ask myself that question. And maybe talk to other people about their experience, or maybe what I'm missing. I don't know. I'm just trying to think how to get out of that loop. How to make this a. Because oftentimes when you have the fear in the.
Okay, stop. You have to stop at a point in time and decide that you're going to talk about only the things you know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. To ask yourself.
What do you know?
What do I know?
What do you know? What do you believe? What do you think? I think this is true. I believe this is true. I know this is true. Those are three different things. Okay. All right. Let me give you a for instance. I know that I grew up on a farm. I have the experience to prove that. I know that. Okay. I think that was a good thing for me. Okay. I don't have that as an empirical knowledge. I don't have, but it's my opinion that was a good thing for me, because that's what my life was made of. But since I can't compare it to anybody else's life, I can only think that was a good thing. Okay. I believe that when I was a young person, I believed that being a Christian was an important thing. Right now, I believe that being a Christian was an important step. I believe that there's more to life than being a Christian or being a non-Christian or saying, okay, there's, Jesus died for my sins. Yep, all that can be true at the same time and still be a person in the world. I believe that's true. See, those are three different things, right? I know that I grew up on that farm. I was there. I did that. I said, hey, I got the hands to prove that. Okay. I think that it was a good idea. I believe that I have grown since then. Okay. Those are three divisions of one thing. Okay. Now, we can say that differently. I know that it's necessary to have a transportation. I think that it would be nice to have a muscle car. I believe that I'm really going to have to get something that's a little smaller than that, because I don't want to pay the gas.
Okay.
I
So
believe that, okay, I think that it's necessary to be in a relationship. Okay. I know that relationships exist. I know that relationships are necessary to share energy. All manner of relationships are necessary to share energy because that shared energy makes things real. I know that. I believe that some people just don't want to have a relationship, even though it would appear as though they seem to be searching for that relationship concept everywhere, and that they can find it, they can even smell it in their life, but they don't really want to have it because they can't really do that relationship thing with trust and commitment and hey, it's just you and me, babe. You know, they just didn't like Sonny and Cher. What can I tell you? Or Groundhog Day. I mean, if you have to listen to that every day when you wake up for millennia, you know, Christ, you get tired of that song after a while.
okay. So that's the kind of distinction that I can do kind of with my own, when something pops into my head, I can do the
Well, you can do that about anything at any time. Maybe not when something pops in your head. I mean, you know, all this stuff is in your head all the time anyway, kid. Nothing pops in there. I mean, you know, it's just like we're not talking about toasters here. We're talking about your brain. You know, if you put something in your computer, is it there when you go back for it?
Yeah.
Mostly, yeah. Every now and then things get corrupted, but mostly it's there, right? It takes an act of God or a flood or something for it to really be real corrupt. Or spilling a Coke on your keyboard, that'll do a lot of it too.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the point. Not about Cokes and keyboards. My point is this: is that when you put something in your computer, it's there. It's there. Mm-hmm. It's there. When you put instructions in your biocomputer, it's there. It's there. You can modify it. You can do all kinds of stuff, but it's there. I don't care what you tell me. It's not there. I don't care if you remember it or not. It's there. Okay. Now that's something that I know is true. That's something you know is true. Okay. I mean, you've had that experience enough times to know that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. However, you think that it doesn't apply to you. Because you believe that you really aren't that big, that you have to do all those things that grown people have to do. Oh, you're just okay. What? Here comes sit on my lap, and I will give you a little hug, so you feel better. Okay. Well, that's really the feeling. No, okay. Leave me alone, motherfucker. I got it.
Well, yeah, it is a very childish feeling. Okay, I recognize that.
Look, everybody, all God's children got those childish feelings. You know, I mean, that's, you know, who knows where they're going to pop up. You know, so you can't get mad about somebody having them. You know, everybody got them. You know, it's like the Statesboro Blues. Everybody got them.
Oh.
Grandma got them. Grandpa got them. Yeah. Mama got them. Daddy got them.
All God's children got them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Going up the country, baby. Don't you want to go?
Okay. So all right. So this is how everybody's brain works. It's, you know, once we put it in there, it's there. But then what we're talking about here is like, okay, well then let's be real about what's actually there. You know, not.
Well, that would be that would be handy, wouldn't
it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Look, you and I both know people, not just you, but you know other people who do the same thing, the same kind of thing I'm going to talk about here. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, we develop these fantasies. Okay, and we talk with this person that we have names for them. We name them. Somebody asks, we say, oh yes, this is my so and so. This is my Lala, and here he is, she is, and there they are, and so yes, and I'm having a fanciful fantasy talk with them that I've been having for years, and they ignore me and I ignore them, and it's just great. The sex is wonderful. I get off, and so does he, kind of, from time to time. And that's about the size of the relationship, as it were. And so
Okay,
it
yeah.
isn't that, okay, look, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing that we all freaking do. We're human beings. We do this, okay? Because we forget about reality. And we say, well, I don't want to upset him. I don't want to upset her. You know, she's such a bitch about this. He's such a bastard. He just yells and screams about anything. God knows what he's mad about. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He just is, he's such a man. Why did you marry him for? Because he's such a man. Okay, so which one do you want? I want the man, but I don't want the man. Sweetness, they're the one and the same. They really are. There's not a difference there. They're the same guy. You take it all, you leave it all. You take your pick. That's your pick. You already did. You're already with him. So now what you bitching about? You knew how he was before you got there. And if you didn't, you found out soon enough. So why are you still there? You don't like it? Why are you there? I don't mind it. Believe me, if you're bitching at him all the time, he ain't gonna mind you leaving either. He's gonna say, well, adios. Even though you're gonna say, oh, I miss him so much. But you're talking about the man. You're not talking about the man. So?
Yeah. And in those kind of loops, at least in my experience, sometimes you go off there because I'm treating this feeling I have. Oh, that's the real thing. So I feel like I got to do something.
Whoa! Stop!
I know.
That feeling. Well, you don't. So see, that's what I'm trying to say to you. You don't know that what that feeling is. You don't see that feeling as an app on your phone that just. It takes cute pictures. It puts little bunny rabbit ears on things, and puts little bunny rabbit noses on things, and puts little bunny rabbit whiskers on things, and it makes you look goofy as hell because it gives you big old buck teeth when you smile real big, but it makes your boobies really huge. No, that's a fantasy. That's what your app is doing. Okay, that's not what reality is. Okay? I'm not arguing with you about that this cute or that's fun or that you shouldn't do it. No, do it, please. I like to get those weird looking pictures. Same as everybody else. However, I have to understand that it's not real. I have to understand that the big boobies are really a fantasy. Either yours or mine or both of us. It doesn't make any difference. It's a fantasy. It doesn't really exist that way. Okay, it just doesn't. The reality is that there's cellulite and there's saggy and there's all that stuff. That's real.
Yeah.
Okay, and so here's the thing though, and this applies to you. It applies to everybody. The perception of beauty is a moral test.
Okay, I'm not sure how you got to that thought right now.
I know. I see. You're pretty quick, aren't you? You caught me at doing that, didn't you? Okay, here comes. Look, when you think about a relationship, okay, and you think about that other person that's in that relationship with you. I don't care whether it's your boss, if it's your teacher, if it's your honey, if it's your daddy, if it's your mommy, it's your brother, or anybody, okay, in that relationship. Do you see beauty in that relationship? Do you see that person as a beautiful expression of who and what they do? You don't? Well, what an immoral fuck you are. If you do, well then, okay, your morality is fine because you're looking at the beauty that's there, really. You're finding that beauty that exists no matter what, and that's the real question, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether or not you're justified in not seeing the beauty. Of course, you can be justified. Anybody can justify anything they want. I mean, look at Trump. He got a whole nother presidency justified, even though he didn't get elected. Yeah, okay. Is he a bad guy? No, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he's just as delusional. Maybe he really believes that. It doesn't make any difference. It's not true. It's a fantasy. So I have to stop for myself as a grown adult person and say, okay, well, if it's a fantasy. There's nothing wrong with him having the fantasy. I'm good with him having the fantasy. But the reality is that dude, that didn't happen. I don't mind that you have money raised on it. I don't mind that you tell people that they want to hear it. You tell them it's okay. I don't care. But they want to believe that thing too. So it's okay. They can believe it, but they don't know that because it's not a real thing. See, it's a fantasy for them just as it is for you. Now that's really true. You can say this, not you can get all mad at me because I'm telling you it's a fantasy. If you want to, that won't change the fantastical part of it. It's still the guy didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's not in the presidency. So put it down. You lost that argument already. If Joe Biden's sitting over there in the White House, Donald ain't president no more. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, look, what's the difference in that and you saying, okay, I want my sweetie to be something other than what he actually is?
There actually isn't, because you're dealing with like, here's a reality, and the fact that I want something else doesn't change the reality of what actually is.
How about if you stomp your feet and jump up and down and yell and scream and say, "You bastard! You don't love me! I'm telling mother!" How about you do that? I think that's going to help.
So
that's...
You
bastard! I'm going to tell your mother! Will that help?
Okay. Define help.
Well, it's not going to make anything any better. I can tell you that part.
No.
If you define help as being better, is that ain't going to happen.
No. So now I'm like coming back to the beauty thing. It's like, okay, something is real. It ain't going to change it. It is what it is. Can you find beauty in it?
That's the idea, isn't it? If not, then why are you with that person? Why are you arguing with where they're beautiful or where their beauty lies? What for? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to take somebody? I mean, if you belittle somebody else, does that mean make you bigger or better or something? You're really ugly, Does that change anything actually? Back in the day, if what's his name could talk to Bo Derek and said, "Bo, you're really ugly. I don't want to take pictures of your boobies down the beach. I don't want to do that." Would that change anything? Not a thing. Not a damn thing in the world. Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In the same way, does Bolero remind you that that's what's going on for her? Every time you hear it, you say, "Oh, Bo, put on a bra, sweetie." That's gonna hurt. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Okay, that's a fantasy. I'm seeing a lot, though.
But that's one of the things I'm seeing. Yes.
They're all fantasies. All of them are fantasies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Bo doesn't look like that anymore. Believe me, it was over years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Those are all now fond memories. Okay, but they were fantasies then. They still are. So okay, fair, which is fair enough. Okay. My point isn't about Bo really. The point is this: is that the reality of what that is and the fantasy of what that is can be really very closely overlapped, but they're still different. That one's real and one's not. And you have to know how you know which one is which.
Yeah.
And how do you know? Through experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because without the experience, your brain isn't really going to know.
I have another question then.
Okay.
So at the very beginning of our conversation, you were saying, why don't you just start only talking about the things that you really know? Why not? Why just discipline that? Okay. And I think about how many conversations one has, and as I use that measure, it's like, well, dang, not a lot of them are about that. We're just kind of entertaining ourselves. We're just kind of like playing with the back and forth, and again, that's not a moral judgment. It's okay, that's what's going on. We're just kind of bantering, playing. It's like what college students do with their reading. We just play with concepts.
Right.
Well, shit, it's what I personally did with a lot of what you've talked about for probably the first many years I talked to you. Is oh, this is interesting. Let's bounce it around. But so what is lost? And I mean, is that just is it just having a bad habit of dealing in fantasy all the time? It's just not the discipline.
Okay, let's go back to your your original illustration of college students batting their reading around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have those college students ever had any time at all in their life where they were held accountable for what they know?
Rarely. Maybe with their parents when they're like, you're not supposed to do this, whack.
Okay, but not much, right? They don't have children.
Not on their own. Yeah, and they're not on their own accord, really, where they themselves have had been responsible.
No, every now and then there are kids that have had that find that experience and do wonderful things with it. That's true. But for the most part, that group of people that you're talking about batting the ideas around are talking about something that they've never experienced and probably never will. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, for instance, let's talk about Eastern philosophy for a second. Okay, as an example. What does it mean to anybody at all that they center their chi? I mean, who the hell knows what that means, really? I mean, if you spend enough time in martial arts and you're dedicated and you're going to know what that means, because it's going to be an experience that you're going to have over and over and over and over. Because that's how you're going to do what you do in martial arts. However, for a non-martial artist, okay, from somebody who's never done that, to talk to them about their chi is to talk to them about Greek food. They probably have more of an understanding of Greek food than they do about their chi. Mm-hmm. They're not going to know what that means. Mm-hmm. Okay, for you to talk to somebody non-Zen type of person, and you tell them, okay, the knife cannot cut itself, and you say that as an admonition, are they going to understand you?
Unlikely.
No, it's not. That they're not going to. Okay, so it doesn't mean that the statement itself in its given context isn't profound. It means that it's unintelligible to somebody who doesn't speak that language or doesn't have that experience.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. For instance, I can tell you the steps for making bread. I can tell you what the bread requires. It requires water. It requires yeast of some variety. It requires salt, and it requires flour. That'll make bread. Now, I can tell you why. I can tell you that the salt binds the gluten together, so that the little bubbles of methane that the yeast produces makes the bread rise. Mm-hmm. Just floats it up there in the air. But it does. Makes it rise. How does that work? I have no freaking idea at all. None whatsoever. That's beyond my pay grade right there. I can tell you how to do it, but until you do it yourself, you're not really going to understand what the hell I'm talking about any of that. I can tell you that you got to wait until that bread looks a certain way. I can tell you that you got to beat that bread, mix that bread in the mixer until it has a sheen on it. But until you do it, you're not going to recognize what that means. You actually have to have that experience. It's not hard to have the experience. It's easy to do. Just go follow the steps. But still in all, you have to have the experience to know. And the first few times you do it, you're not going to have enough experience to do it right. You're going to kind of screw it up. You might get lucky, but you're not going to know why. You say, well, I followed the steps and I was lucky. That's what. And then the next time you do it, it's like, I wonder where I fucked it up. I followed the same steps, almost, kind of, sort of. I did, I think. Okay. That's something that you have to have the experience. You have to have experience. You have to bake a lot of bread in order to know where you are really with the bread. Where the bread is, because it's the bread that's growing. It isn't you. The bread's doing its thing. It's growing into more dough. And so, are you aiding? Are you abetting that, or are you preventing it? Are you too impatient?
Is it right? Is in my interaction with that dough and with the kneading and with all of it, and putting it in
all
the
them good things. Yeah, there you go. All that stuff. Yeah, we gotta pay attention to all them. They're good things, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's my question. Then is like, okay, if you understand that about bread, and you can understand what you know and what you don't know about bread, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, which is important. We all know what we know and what we don't know. I've either had that experience or I haven't. If I haven't had that experience, then I know that I haven't had the experience. I've asked you this question 100 times, like this. Have you ever seen a green and purple cat?
Nope.
Have you ever seen a black and white cat?
Of course.
See, it didn't take you any time. It didn't take you any time at all to determine either of those answers. They were both in the ready state. Because you haven't ever seen a green and yellow cat. You can go through all of your memories and say, nope, never one. Never what? Nope, that doesn't check it out anywhere. You're faster than Google.
Yeah.
Okay. Black and white. Oh, yeah, lots of those. I got pictures. Here we go. Images.
Okay.
So you can do all that.
All right. So to bring that back around to the advantage of disciplining one to talk about what one knows.
It's not much of a discipline, really. What it really is being honest about the context of what you're saying. That's it. Here, I either know this or I don't know this. I believe this. I know this. This is my opinion about this. That's what I think about it. Those are all already in place.
Yeah,
you know what those are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a discipline. It's a matter of being honest. But with you, not with me. I don't give a damn. If you're going to tell me you have experience, I'm going to say, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy,
okay, all right.
Sandy told people for 10 years that she'd been to Japan. She doesn't have a passport to leave the country, but she went to Japan. No, come on, Sandy, that's not true.
Okay. So, and then in just being honest with myself about it, it kind of helps just keep that stuff clear and clean. It's like, okay, then I know where things are. Like I can get an experience about this. I can check a belief.
Okay, stop for a second there. Okay? Just a moment there. Let's pause.
Okay.
Who would you be confusing?
Only me, if I.
Wow.
Because I'm the one that knows that difference.
Yeah. And so you're telling yourself that you're telling yourself that you don't know when you do.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so do you believe yourself?
Where is that other me here I'm talking about? Okay.
I don't know. See but that is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
See that's the problem.
So when I say stuff like, oh, I confused myself or I didn't, that's actually, what am I really saying here? Like, like, no, you didn't.
You know what? Okay, I don't know what you're saying. I can tell you what it sounds like, though.
Okay. Well, that's not so hard. I mean, I do know those things.
Okay. Because to say that you don't is kind of sounds like you're saying, "Oh, feel sorry for me because I'm just a little girl. I don't understand these big ideas. It's like this right here. I'm just a helpless little wifey thing. I don't really know nothing, but you better treat me like I'm a WOMAN woman, motherfucker. Wow.
Okay.
You poor thing, you.
You're talking to that other me that left the camera a while ago. I understand.
Oh, that other you, yeah. The evil twin you, yeah, I got it.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, this is something that I guess I'll have to kind of put this into practice here and put these conversations.
Yeah, probably. But you've gotten by without it up to now. I wouldn't stress about it. I wouldn't overly stress about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only reason that it's worthwhile is that it takes stress out of your life. It gives you let's just say a clearer way of considering things.
Yeah, because like if I know something, what's the point of arguing about it? It doesn't change what it is. I know it. And if I believe about it,
okay. Arguing doesn't change how anything is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, I can argue about the efficiency of wearing a mask all I wish to. It doesn't change the data.
Right.
The data is still the data, right? It
how
isn't going to
viruses
change.
transmit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not going to change. That's a reality. Okay. If I take a vaccine, I lower my chances of getting a virus. I don't care what my excuses are, whether I'm scared of needles or whether you're imposing on me, forcing me to take a vaccine that I don't want to take. I'm a child and I can't really stand the pain. It doesn't make any difference what it is. It really doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't
the
change
fact
what the virus.
It doesn't change the reality. Okay. I have acrophobia. Well, I'm sorry, you have acrophobia, so don't look down because we're going to get on this elevator and we're going to drop down about 30 floors, or you can walk. You want to walk?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to take a cab when I get there, and I'm going to wait for you because you're going to still be about floor 15 at the very most. I'm on the cab, honey, and that's if I have to wait for one.
Okay.
Okay, acrophobia or not, this elevator is safe. You have to get on there and go up and down it. I know it's tight for you, but you know what? You ain't gonna die from getting in this elevator. And if you do, I'm dying right with you, so don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the coda to this song is dealing with reality is a lot less stressful than dealing with fantasies.
Well, let's go back to saber-toothed tiger days, shall we?
Okay.
Dealing with
not, but okay.
Okay, but we're just going to take a little quick mental visit, a little fantasy visit, as it were, right? Okay, so here we are in the jungle, selva all around us, and here comes the saber-toothed tiger saying, I'm hungry." Well, when we hear that "I'm hungry" thing from the saber-toothed tiger, we want it to be scaring up a deer or something. We don't want to be standing there saying, "Hey, Mr. Tiger, can I have your attention, please? You shouldn't be doing that here in the jungle." That's going to be bad form, right? That ain't going to end well.
It's going to be a short conversation, yes.
Well, it may last longer than I want it to, because he might play with me. It's like I'm a little mouse or something. But nonetheless, it's going to end badly. Okay, so here's the thing. It's lots better for me to deal with the reality of that saber-toothed tiger than it is for me to deal with the fantasy that he ain't there.
True. Okay. Okay. So whether there's an actual threat or not, dealing with reality is a whole lot.
Yeah. Reality is well. It's a bitch, It's always there, and it's insistent, and it always wins unless you deal with it. If you have a fantasy about it, it wins by default because you don't show up for the game. You're in a different stadium altogether. You're off in a fantasy land, and that ain't nothing happening over there, really.
Okay.
I mean, That's
All right.
maybe too country for you to understand there, but
Well, I don't have a lot of personal experience with saber-toothed tigers, but I do like living. So
well, we could change the saber-toothed tiger for cows. Cows do the same kind of thing. You're going to deal with them how they on their terms. They'll get along with you kind of, but they're going to get along with you on their terms anyway. So why are we going to argue about that? Let's just deal with their terms and find out what that is, so we can make them happy. That way we don't have to fight about it all the time.
Yeah,
that's easier.
good. Okay. Well, I think this kind of brings us to a good closing point on this one. But
okay.
We'll probably revisit a few times here and there, because it is. It's not the last time I'm going to hear you ask me, "You sure you know that?" or "How do you know that?" or "How'd you get there?" That's a good question. So, all right.
Okay.
All righty. So, until the next time.
Okay, kid. Take it easy.
Right.
Behave yourself.
Right.
You're supposed to. Well, you don't have to take your iPhone with you, so you can send pictures. So I don't know whether you're behaving or not. I have to assume that you're not. Therefore,
careful what you wish for. Okay. All right. I'll see you later, John.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.